Good evening. A number of you were asking about some different issues and concerns you had with Turnitin, so I wanted to make a quick video to go through basically everything you need to know about our instance of Turnitin and how to use it. So first, I'm showing you the Turnitin website. We're going to have to come back here in a little bit, but I wanted to show you that there was this website and it has a lot of different teaching tools available, as well as some interesting information about checklists, how to talk to students about plagiarism and such. But let's move right into our course. So if we look at one of our courses and you say, I want to assign this as a Turnitin assignment, the most important thing you need to know right away before you start getting stuff done is make sure if you're using a rubric that you attach the rubric down here below the assignment before you turn this into a Turnitin assignment. Once you've made this a Turnitin assignment, you won't be able to see that anymore. So in order to turn this into a Turnitin assignment, simply go to Edit, which may take a little bit of a minute. So you're going to be adding this as an external tool rather than just adding it within the course. When we look at this, you simply go to, we're going to open up, you're going to go to how the assignment is submitted. Like for instance, right now you probably have the assignment submitted online. Some of you who are on site might have assignments submitted on paper. But I think it's good to always have all of your assignments available for students to submit online, even if you're going to encourage them to submit it on paper, especially when we're talking about looking at Turnitin. So here you go to submission type. Right now it's listed as online. We're going to open up this drop-down menu, and it will give me an option of, when it finally loads, external tool. So select external tool. When you go to find, you're going to have to scroll all the way down because Turnitin starts with a T. And you might need to use both of these slider bars in order to get down there. And you see selecting Turnitin right there. Once you've got that selected, select. You can load this in a new tab that'll open it in a separate window, or you can open it right within the course. I'm going to allow to open it right within the course. Now, the important thing I want you to know is once you have saved it as this, there's still a bunch of options. And this is where you might be getting caught. You need to make sure that you select the different options available so that Turnitin is processing your reports the way that you want them to. You will see that once this is done, right below your assignment, it's going to say there's nothing in here because you've just submitted this assignment. So you're not going to be able to see a lot, but you will be able to, again, change those settings to make sure that they reflect what you want to do. Now, when we look at the different types of settings available, some are, do you want to check for, so let's say small words? Oh, here we go. So right here, we've got Turnitin here yet. Nothing's going on. You want to select on this little cog to select tools. That will open up a bunch of options. And this is where it gets a little tricky because it doesn't give you all the options right away. With these options, you can write instructions here, the maximum date, start date and due date, feedback release date, and you also want to go down to this little thing of optional settings, which opens up a whole bunch of different things to do. This is putting the standard paper repository. You also do have the option of do not store any of the submitted papers if you want. I recommend you store them. You never know who might be using someone else's paper in the future. If you are submitting an assignment where you're having them do an initial draft and you know that they're going to be using that draft later when they finish their paper, you might not want to have those initial drafts saved in the standard paper repository because it will check future drafts off of their initial one. Allow submission files of any type, recommends keeping that selected. I personally like checking allow late submissions here. You can still not allow late submissions within the Canvas instance, but it's good to have this set because this can block you when you think you're allowing a student a chance to submit late. And if you don't have this on there, again, it might Turnitin might be blocking it, even though you're allowing it in Canvas. You can attach a rubric as well, but I find it's a little confusing to have two different rubrics. Select what you want them to have that paper checked against. And I always think when it comes to similarity reports, certainly I think you should allow a student to see the similarity report. And you can do things like exclude bibliographic material. So if a student does properly cite, it's not going to count that. Exclude quoted material. So if they put quotes around it, it's going to exclude that. and exclude small sources. um, in the event of some students now using Turnitin to cheat, where they're putting pretend quotes around things, that's making me think that maybe I should start turning that one off as well. You can also start checking for small words. There is something you can also do right now. If you have, say, a list of questions you're having students ask, you can upload this as a template into the course. So if the students use the questions in their assignment, it's not going to count that against it. Now, you can also click on here, save these settings for future use. I find this doesn't always work, but it's a good start as far as making sure that you have the settings that you want. Again, now you're going to start seeing assignments come in. So we'll see what goes on there. Right here, this is where my students have been allowed to submit. Now, I know that my settings are set correctly to allow for late submissions because I see all of these ones in red. So that's what we start seeing. When a student submits late, it will mark it in as red right here. Now, in the event that you or have it open and you're saying students are saying they can't submit, I'm going to point something out. You might need to, again, go to that cog and make sure you've checked that allow for late submissions, because that's going to make a difference. If a student has submitted and they want to resubmit, whether it's because they cheated or they submitted the wrong paper, unfortunately, the way that we have it set up, they won't be able to automatically resubmit a paper within Canvas unless you have actually cleared their previous attempt. You have two different options. You go right here to the assignment, and with these options, it will say remove from inbox. If you remove it from inbox, that will basically give them a chance to resubmit. The grade, initial grade, will be retained within the Canvas gradebook, but it removes that from the inbox so that they can actually resubmit it. That is a good thing if they say they want to just redo it, they posted the wrong class, something along those lines. You can also request permanent deletion if a student, for example, plagiarized and you're giving them a second chance to rewrite their paper, but some of it was written in their own words. You might want to suggest permanent deletion. That way you won't be comparing a future submission against the previous submission. Once you've done that, again, it will open up and the assignment will be available for students to submit again, assuming you have the due date set correctly. So make sure you check that due date to allow them to submit an assignment late within Canvas. Now, one other thing that people have been asking for is, what if a student emails you an assignment and you want to run it through a plagiarism detection? Or if a student has submitted something in the discussion board and you think that is a bit suspicious. Well, in that case, you can actually go to the Turnitin website themselves and you can log in right there. So go to, just search for Turnitin login, and you can log in directly to Turnitin and you can do something called direct submit. So you can take that student's assignment and you can submit it directly in here. This will just take a second for me to load in. I do suggest, if you do log in to Turnitin on the website, if this is your first time logging into Turnitin, please, please, please use your long Berkeley email, as I said, the Lower Harshti, not my 3-letter initial one. Otherwise, it's going to cause conflicts because it is linking to your Canvas account. So you want to make sure you're using your Canvas email. I will tell you that is not the same password as your single sign-on, so you're going to have to sign on with a password separately. Your first time, you might need to go through. It's been a few years in order to sign in. Now, once you're in the Turnitin instance, it will have all of your courses in there. They're saved for a while after the term is over. So you see that here are the courses that I have. These are the ones that have expired because I'm no longer using them. But what you're going to want to do is something called Quick Submit. You go to Quick Submit. It will allow you to upload a student paper. It will allow you to cut and paste from a student paper, or it will allow you to upload multiple files. You'll have 3 different options in order to submit that paper on behalf of a student to check for plagiarism or academic integrity. When you look here, simply go to, these are ones that I've tested in the past, click on Submit, and it will give you some options in order to how you want to submit. I have changed my default settings. It will default to upload a paper, and I like generally cutting and pasting. So when you're customizing, select which things you want to use to check for plagiarism. All of my bars are in the way. So select the different things you want to have checked. Click on Submit, and as you'll see here, right now I have it set as a cut and paste upload. If you go to this down arrow, You can also do multiple file upload, single file upload, and a zip file upload are different options you can do. Type in the first name, last name, the submission title, something that you can actually do it. You can obviously cut and paste the paper here. Again, if I find that I'm most often cutting and pasting, so I have changed it to these defaults. If you want to change your default, simply go up to your user information up here and you can change that default. Once you have submitted that student's paper, it can take a few minutes to actually process that with Turnitin, or if it's a busy time, a little bit longer than that. I generally find it works pretty quickly. And then you'll start seeing all of those files right here, and you can sort by the student's name. I often sort by the date. It sort of reverse sorts it, so I click on date twice, and it will bring up my most recent paper so that I can see who submitted again. It'll be whichever assignment I last checked. So it brings you back to 2019. Click it again, and it will bring you to your oldest. As you can see, we start seeing different levels of plagiarism for different students. And then again, if you click on that, we'll bring up the same Turnitin report that you see in the class. Right? For instance, this one, looking at, again, all of these different ones, it'll bring you up. Click on that, and you get to your plagiarism percentages. The only other thing that I have to stress when it comes to using Turnitin, and this is probably one of the most important things, is that often we have students who say, I can't submit, it's not working, somehow the program isn't working. And I can tell you that a lot of times if they say, listen, it says here that the course was not set up appropriately by the professor. 99.9% of the time, the answer is that student is using the wrong browser, and that's what's causing the conflicts. So I can't stress this enough. Remind all of your students to use Chrome, Firefox, the Canvas Student app. Chrome, Firefox, Canvas Student app. If they use Safari, it will say that you screwed things up and didn't set it up correctly. That's not right. You followed the instructions, you know what you're doing. Edge also often brings in some of those weird defaults. So again, suggest to a student that they switch to a different browser, and the students will be able to submit just fine. So you won't have to be uploading those papers for them. Again, I strongly encourage everyone to be using Turnitin as much as possible so that the students understand the importance of academic integrity. In the future, if you need more instructions, I can instruct you on how to exactly read and interpret the Turnitin report. I hope this helps, and have a great day.